Hello everyone, I'm home. Welcome back to my channel. So I was visiting a friend the other day, and she lives on the most beautiful property. It's an all wooded area out behind her house, and I just took a few moments to go out there. She was on the phone with someone and kind of an important call, so I said I'm going out back and take some pictures for my YouTube channel and show everybody how beautiful your yard is. And she has this little cabin that's tucked in back behind her house, and she's had parties there before. We went to one a couple of years ago, and they had a big raging bonfire out front, and it was so neat. And there's all kinds of wildlife there, and she's got bird feeders everywhere, and I've seen some of the most unique birds there. I don't know what this bird is. You guys help me out. Is it a quail, pheasant? I don't know what it is. I didn't ask her if she knew what kind of birds were around there, but I saw all kinds of wildlife. I saw a couple of deer down by the creek. There's all kinds of gullies and valleys and water running through. Now, right now it's real dry, so there's no water, but it's just beautiful. And she was telling me that when her parents lived on this property when she was little, it's always been in her family, and they played cowboys and Indians and ran and played on these up and down these little hills. And she has an old-fashioned clothesline, and both ends of her clothesline were completely covered with morning glories. Now, my morning glories are done. They've went to seed, and the flowers are gone, maybe one or two little flowers here and there. But these were the biggest, prettiest morning glories I've ever seen. They're obviously a different variety than the ones that I have because they were huge. Mine are just a normal size, and as you can see, they're starting to go down the line. And they're a mixture of the kind of periwinkle color and a little pink one every now and then. And there was a hummingbird flying around. It's almost like time stood still for these flowers on her property. Like here, all my flowers are dried up and they've gone to seed. And down there, and this was after lunch, and usually morning glories close up right around noon. And the pink ones had closed up, but the periwinkle ones had not. And they had their little lights shining inside. They were so beautiful. And all of her other flowers were still blooming. I've already taken the seeds from all of my flowers, but it's really beautiful. And I went thrifting this week, and I found a book called Country Escapes. And it's a book from 2004, but I looked it up, and you can still find it. And it's, for as old as it is, it's still relevant. And the aesthetic inside is just exactly what I love. All the country, rustic, kind of French country ideas, clay pots. It's still relevant. And it's a beautiful book. Now, when I looked it up, I didn't find it under this name. I found it under a name of Country Living. But it looks like it's the same book. And you can get it on thriftbooks.com, Amazon, and there were some other people that had it for sale. So if you like that kind of thing that I think is timeless, and it's like a coffee table book, I think you'd really like it. It sold for $29.95 back in 2004. And at this store I was at, books are $1, but they were half off that day. So I haven't gotten all the way through it, but I think it's a really good book. Then I found these two bowls, and they were just beautiful with the delicate little pink roses. I need another bowl like you know what. But I turned them over, and they were Johnson Brothers England, and I thought there were only two, and they're over 100 years old, and I fell in love with them. And I told you before, when they were only 50 cents, I told you before, a lot of times when I eat lunch by myself, I'll take out some special dishes and have my lunch on something special. And I make soup a lot in the fall and winter, so I think these are going to be great. I'm looking forward to using them, so I just stacked them on my pile of plates and bowls that I have. I'm going to have to show you that. I forgot to take a picture of it, but I've been using a stacker in my spare bedroom with all my extras. And then I'm in the Salvation Army and I see this picture, and I have so many of these, but guys, this picture is over 100 years old. And it was $1, and it was perfect, and I loved it, and I brought it home. I feel like I'm the keeper of these old things. A lot of people passed on that because it's so old they won't use it. I'll use it. But my old saying to my husband is, you can't go in the Dollar General and buy a 100-year-old piece of beauty for $1. So that's my justification for buying this stuff. It's my hobby. You know how I am. You've been with me long enough. I gotta have it. Then in the free bin at the Mission, I found this round board. It had a bad stain on it, but I knew exactly what I was going to do with it. I flipped it over, and it was missing a piece, and I think it was a Lazy Susan. And it was okay. It was in good shape. So I took it home, and I started painting it. I painted the outside black. I painted the inside like a cream color with some coffee grounds and cinnamon mixed in, a little bit of cloves, made it sort of primitive looking. And I have a wreath on by my front door that's a fall wreath. And when I take it down, I like to put some kind of a Christmas or winter sign there instead of a wreath, because I have a wreath on my door usually. So I just painted a simple snowman face on it. And he or she may get a bow at the top and maybe some greenery. I don't really know, but it'll look pretty outside. And I sealed it so that, the paint will stay on. But it's on a covered porch, and I just kind of tucked it here behind my soaps in my kitchen until I can put it out, because it's still fall here. We don't have any snow, but it'll be pretty for winter, and it can stay out all winter. And then, I need another tray. You guys know how I am. I started looking for that barware tray, and now I find trays every time I turn around. I saw this one, and it stopped me in my tracks. I thought it was gorgeous. It's solid copper. It's got the most beautiful handles on it. It's kind of got a hammered look to it. It just stopped me in my tracks. I just picked it up and put it in my cart. I didn't even look at the price. Of course, in the thrift stores, you don't have to look at the price. You know what I mean. But I just loved it. And I thought, well, you can change it out on your bar cart, or you can use it anywhere because it's so beautiful. It's crimped around the edge and makes a really pretty design from the top. And the bottom of it has some kind of embossing on it. Kind of looks like a flower, maybe a rose, or maybe, I don't know exactly what it is, but the bottom of it's prettier than the top. And I put it in the kitchen on my wooden piece that sits by my stove, and changed out a plate that I had my salt and pepper shakers on, and I set it there. I love it. It brings me such great joy every day when I walk into the kitchen and see that beautiful little tray. And when I got up to pay for it, the girl said, 99 cents, that's a good price for that pretty tray. It was 99 cents, guys. And it's not an antique or anything, but it's probably a TJ Maxx piece, but I love it. And then sometimes the 12-year-old girl comes out in me. I saw this metal cup, and I just loved it. And I almost bought it. It was 99 cents. But I have all kinds of cups. I have metal ones. But now that I'm looking at it again, I'm kind of regretting it because it was just so beautiful. When I was a young girl, I had a lot of color in my room, and I like it. And it would have kept my drink so cold. They had a lot of these plates at Goodwill the other day. There were 5 of them, I believe. But I had to come to my senses. I have 8 of these. And I never have 8 people over at one time for a fancy dinner. At Thanksgiving, I have my other dishes, so I won't use them. So I left them behind for someone else to find and enjoy. I think they were 99 cents. And then this was a piece that was gray transferware. I had never seen that before. And this building was some kind of parliament building in Canada. And I thought, well, I enjoy seeing the different colors of transferware, and maybe that's a color that's popular in Canada. I don't know. I've never seen it around here, but it was really pretty. And then another fruit bowl that I did not purchase because, but look at it. My goodness, isn't that beautiful? And I've got fruit bowls stacked in a cabinet, and I pull them out in the fall and some in the spring, and I set them around and I use them. But I just can't have them all, so I left it behind. I'm trying to have this idea to leave them behind for someone else to get excited and find. Then this. I walked into Salvation Army the other day and I saw this, and it was surprisingly fascinating to me, this couch. My mom would have called this a Davenport back in the 70s. It was really clean and it was really in good shape, like it had been covered and maybe never even really sat on. It was in perfect condition. I couldn't believe it. And so clean. And you know, a piece like that is made well. Back in the 70s, it probably weighed 500 pounds. And it was $100. And I'm not going to lie, I thought about it. And I know you'll think, well, are you crazy? But look at this material. I think that in the right setting, if I was designing a house that needed, I don't think they would do the 70s decor, but I think I could make this work in some kind of setting. I really do. And I'm going to show you an idea coming up here in a second. But this 1786, it reminds me of the wallpaper, or maybe it was paneling that we had in our house back when we first moved there in the 60s. They had the bicentennial, Liberty Bells and Minutemen tapping their drums. We had that in our kitchen, and I looked it up on the internet, and I can't find the exact paneling that we had, but a lot of people had it, and it just reminded me of that. And the background was like a corally rust color, kind of borderline pink, but I think that was just from the age of it, but it was in perfect condition. The fabric was wonderful. It smelled good. It was a good one. Unique, strangely unique. But this is my friend's cabin. And they've had little things in there where they sell wood things that they've made, like benches and tables and such. And if she'd let me decorate that, I think I could put that Davenport in there with the right accessories. I think I could make that work. What do you guys think? Isn't it cool? It was in great condition. Didn't look like the cushions had ever had any wear or someone had sat on them for a long time. It was good. You don't see things like that every day. I looked it up on the internet and I couldn't find anything like it. I did find a girl that used that kind of fabric and redid it, but I like it. And then they had this red set that I really liked, but of course I don't have room for it. And it made me think about a basket that I saw at the Covered Bridge Festival. I love red, but you got to be really careful with red in your home, unless that's your theme. Red has to be sparingly used because it's bold. And if you have a lot of it and it doesn't match, it can clash. And it can be overwhelming. Now, my friend that just passed away, she loved red and she knew how to do it. She had a lot of red accents all through her house. And when you walked in, you knew she liked red. But it didn't overpower you because she used a lot of creams and golds and greens. Well, look here. Reverse manifesting. I was not looking for a red basket. But when I went to the Covered Bridge Festival, I came upon this booth that had a lot of antiques. And they had this old red basket. It was like this one, only not as, I don't think it was as in good a shape, but it was beautiful. And I walked over to it and I thought, I bet they want $35 for this. I looked at the tag and it was $38. And I thought, I just can't do that. Just for a basket to look at, I just can't. So I'm in that Salvation Army, or Restore. And as I'm walking across to their basket bin, they just throw all their baskets in a big bin. I found this one. And I have thought about that one. This was $3. I thought about that one ever since I left the Covered Bridge Festival. And this one's a little wonky. It's not perfectly shaped. The bottom has a piece missing. But it's a solid basket. I mean, you could use it. But I tend to buy them just to look at, unless it's one that I'm going to use to take something to someone. I wouldn't use that for that. But it was so beautiful, and I picked it up, and as I'm walking through the store, some guy that I know in there, he always buys antiques, he said, "Whoa, you got a good one." And I said, "I know, isn't it great?" And it's pretty big, and it's misshapen, but it's solid. It's a good, solid basket. And here I had been thinking about that ever since I left the Covered Bridge Festival, thinking, should you have bought that $38 basket? It won't leave your mind. And then I find one that's prettier and better for $3. Guys, this is why I thrift. You just never know what you're going to find. And like I said, the red is a thing with me. I love it, but you got to be real careful with it. Here's some red candles out on my patio this this summer. And of course I had some red roses and I had dried them and I put those around, and red candles, but I try to do it sparingly. There are just touches of them here and there because the main theme in my house is the rust color in flowers and in accessories. I kind of like the rust. But here's a package that I gave to my friend a couple years ago for Christmas, the one that likes red. And she also liked the black and white buffalo check for her bedroom. That was what her bedroom was. So I found her this red bowl and I packaged all of her gifts in that other thing. And she didn't even want to open this. And that's a vintage card. I think I've showed you this before, but she loved it. She didn't want to open it. And then just a little bit of red glass. I have a lot of red glass and I keep it put up. And sometimes I'll bring out some for Valentine's Day or at Christmas. And it works, but you got to be careful with it. That's why what's coming up kind of threw me for a loop. I don't know, guys. I don't want to overpower anything in my house. I want it all to blend. And of course, red can blend. It really can. And then here's some more of those roses. I've got 2 or 3 little bouquets of those roses because I dried them out of my garden and they never fall apart. They always stay, so I keep them. And then I was sitting at the table the other day and I remembered I had this red bouquet, so I brought it out and set it for this picture to just show you that I've got red with the rust colored candle and the white pumpkin, which tones it down. So I'm in the Dollar Tree the other day and I find these candles, and I bought this red one because it was so beautiful. But I got to tell you this story. I go to see my sons the other night, and one of my sons said he would go to Goodwill with me. He doesn't like me buying all this stuff at Goodwill. I tease him about him dealing with it when I'm gone. We were walking through there, and I found a quilt, which I normally don't buy quilts unless I'm going to cut them up and use the fabric for something else. I don't use them for my bed. But this one was a showstopper. It was a red holly berry quilt. And I said, Matthew, talk me out of this. And he just took it and hung it back up. It was hanging on a real heavy hanger. And I said, okay, I won't get it. I don't need it. And then I turned it over and it was holly on the other side, only had the cream colored background. This thing looked like brand new. Trust me when I say I know how to buy textiles in a thrift store. I smell them. I look them over good. I see if they look clean. And of course, I'm going to go home and clean them anyway, even if I use them for crafts. And Matthew hung it back up and I walked away from it. Later on, I went back to it and I looked for a tag and I found this one, April Cornell. So Matt looked it up and he said, Mom, if you buy that quilt new, it's about $189. And I'm telling you guys, it looked brand new. It smelled brand new. It didn't look like it had ever been used. Maybe somebody threw it on their bed just for looks, but it didn't have any wear to it at all. So we looked it up and we found it anywhere between $89 on Mercari and Etsy to $300. It depended on how bad you wanted it, I guess. But we found all these pictures of it and I said, Matt, you can't talk me out of this. I got to have that. Guys, it was $19.99. $19 for that kind of beauty for Christmas. Now, like I said, red can be overpowering, and my bedroom is more green and cream, so it matches, but you can have it different ways. I put it on my bed. I just did this for you guys. My husband was trying to fold laundry on the bed, and I was in his way, changing the blanket so many times. Yeah, I just said that with a straight face. No, I had a pile of laundry on the bed. I had to throw it off on a chair while I did this for you guys. But I put it on the bed with the red side up, and I peeled the white part back, the cream colored part. And when I washed it, I was really afraid the red would bleed into the cream, but it did not. It washed up beautifully. So I got this all decorated up for you guys so you could see what it looked like. And I went to look for my Christmas pillows and I couldn't find them. And they have these Dollar Tree pillow covers for $1.25, the zip. And I just bought a couple of them and I put that on one of my green pillows. And they are so cute, guys. You need to go there if you want a simple, easy, cheap Christmas pillow because you can't leave them out very long. They also had some that had Christmas trees and it said Christmas Tree Farm, I believe. I might grab a couple of those. But anyway, Then I changed it again and I put the cream colored holly part down and I pulled back the red part. And I don't know, guys. We won't use this because we have the green and white checked blanket. It's a duvet that we use on our bed. But I'll fold this up every night and put it on a chair and just put it on during the daytime for some Christmas color. I think it's just beautiful. And this is what it looks like with the green duvet, and just put the pillows showing with the red. And I think that looks really pretty together. I just like green and cream and sometimes pink and orange roses in that room. I've got different blankets. And then I didn't care for it looking like this. I just didn't care for that look at all. But I think for Christmas it's going to be really pretty. And then I took the red part at the bottom and folded it up to make it look like a runner across the bottom, because my green blanket goes all the way to the floor. I hope this is making sense to you guys what I did. I just kept changing it, all the different ways you could change it. But I'm thinking on a snowy day when it's cold and I'm not going anywhere, the bedroom would look really pretty with this on it. And I even like it fully red. I'm fine with that. I was real tickled at how it turned out. I was so afraid to take it out of the washer because I thought, boy, that red's going to bleed, because it didn't look like it had ever been washed before. But apparently it had, or I washed it for the first time and it just is color fast. I don't know. But I thought it was really pretty and I'm tickled to death with it for $19. And, you can change it out and you can put it away and I can sell it. I could sell it to someone else. I really like the way it looked with the green headboard that I painted last year. And I'll just hang, this is it folded up. I folded it up real good and I'll put it in my closet until it's time to put it on for Christmas. But I'll just take a real heavy wooden coat hanger, fold it over about 3 times and hang it. And oh, the good news is, guys, it's king size. Can you believe it? I don't know what size. The king size, I don't know how much they cost, but they're probably pretty pricey. But it looks so pretty with my headboard, and I am thrilled with it. Doesn't take much to thrill me, of course. And then they had the pine-scented candles. The other red candle, I think, was mint, maybe, peppermint. And they don't really smell. I'll give you that. But for $1.25, they're really pretty. And you could always fill them with more wax if, I've burnt these quite a bit, though, and they've lasted. So I think they were well worth the price. They're beautiful. Then I found this long basket, which kind of looked vintage, but it's not. And I liked it. I thought I would put some greenery in it and maybe some candy canes. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this basket. I love baskets. But when I got it home, I looked inside it and it had a tag that was from a craft shop or a primitive shop. And you know what? I don't know how much that thing cost new, but in an antique shop like that or primitive shop, they're pretty pricey. So they're about as pricey as antique baskets. Then I have a friend who he collects, I can't talk. He collects Christopher Radko ornaments. He has for years, and I always bought him one for Christmas. Well, I'm in the thrift store the other day. Guys, this is why I thrift. These were put out by Sears, and they're the 25th anniversary Christopher Radko collection, and this is 3 different ornaments. And I think it was $1.99 is what I gave for this. It was still in the box. There's a little note in the box from someone who must have given this as a gift to someone. But I'll give it to him and he'll be loving it, I think. And then I found this big rolling pin. I don't buy a lot of rolling pins in the thrift stores unless they look antique or are antique. This is probably the biggest rolling pin I have. It kind of goes with all my others. I just cleaned it real good. And then I want to ask you guys to help me out. I've been hearing these girls on YouTube talk about these scarves, and they have a name for them, this design, and I can't understand what they're saying. If you guys know what these are called, let me know. But I wear a lot of cream-colored sweaters in the winter, or navy blue or red, and I thought that this would look really pretty. It was a really good name brand. I can't remember. I forgot to take a picture of the tag, but it was in excellent shape, and I ran it through the washer, and it washed up just fine, and I'm excited. It was 99 cents, and I loved it. Then I'm in the Mission the other day, and they had all these little candles, which when I was a little kid, we used to go to the dime store and get these candles, and we thought they were just great and couldn't wait to burn them. Mom would make us wait till about Christmas before we burned them. But I couldn't tell by looking at these if they were the vintage ones. Some of the vintage ones bring big money, and these were only 50 cents. But they look too new to be vintage. They could be Walmart or Dollar Tree, I don't know. And they would be a nightmare to try to store, especially if you put things in the basement or the attic. And I wouldn't want to burn them. But they're nostalgic, and some people do collect them. And I know in antique stores they can be pretty pricey, but I just took a picture for you guys. Then I was going through my box of Santas, and I found a couple that were still the plain, unstained, chalky Santas that they are the cheapos when I buy them for a quarter or 50 cents. And I got out my golden oak stain, and I took the old chalky Santa Clauses and I put a coat of stain on them. And like I said, I usually get these for a quarter or 99 cents. And someone made the comment the other day to me in person, why do you tell the prices of everything? I wouldn't tell people what I gave for that stuff. Well, that's the whole point of my channel. I'm trying to show you guys what bargains you can get at the thrift stores. And I'm okay with you guys knowing what I give for stuff. So this is all my Santa Clauses part of my Santas in baskets, getting ready to be put in that cabinet. And I stained those too, and I will add those to the collection this year. And it's a cheap little hobby, like I told you before. I don't give much for them. If I see one of these, it's $1.99. He has to be gorgeous before I'll give $1.99 for him. I want him for a quarter or 50 cents or $1. I'm not paying more than that. But I took all the Halloween stuff out of my little cabinet, and I started adding a few Santas in. This is just a die-cut Santa that I bought at the Covered Bridge Festival, and a little ornament there in the background. And then this thing, I got this out of the free bin about 5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, at the thrift store. And it's real heavy, and it's gold. And I don't know if it's Santa or what it is, but it looks like Santa, and I love it. And it's heavy and old and little. It can hang on a tree. It might be a Dollar General piece. I don't know. But I love it. It's one of my favorite Christmas ornaments. So I put him in the cabinet. I'm going to take those fruit dishes out and just have Santa Clauses. And I've got to show you something in my next video. I want to show you that in person. Some things I added to the cabinet this year that I couldn't believe I got. I told you about them in the last video. I got them for 99 cents. And they're just over the top good. But this is a really cute little piece. Like I said, I don't know what it is. But it's gold, it's heavy, cheap, and I love it. So we spent this week in this beautiful weather raking, blowing leaves, cleaning the garage, putting salt in the water softener, doing all the stuff you get ready for winter, changing the filters. Took a little drive out to some of the little towns outside of our area. And I love all the old abandoned houses. I always go by to see if they're still standing. And we have a church that stands out in the middle of nowhere that's no longer being used as a church. And rumor has it, or I heard, that some people bought it and were making a wedding venue out of it. It used to be red brick, and now they've painted it gray and put a metal roof on it, which I don't care for too much. But if for a wedding venue, it'd be nice. But as we're driving by, I noticed a lot of the windows are still broken out, and I thought, that's not good. Water getting in there on a wooden floor, and birds and animals getting in there. But, oh my gosh, guys, it's so beautiful. And as we drove by on the north side of the building, well, this is the south side of the building. You can see the stained glass is in really bad shape on that one side, but look how beautiful it is. And this place is really out in the middle of nowhere. It's got a little town next to it, but the town is really small. But look through the window at the other side of the church. You can see the stained glass shining through. And this was late afternoon, and it was so pretty. Oh, I just wish I could afford something like that. I would make it all beautiful and make an antique store and let people get married there and have church there, and we'd just do everything there. It'd be wonderful. But this building has been there, well, as you can tell, forever. And they got down to where they just had a few people going to their church. And I know churches close up after a while, but it's sad. So here's a picture I showed you before of us coming home and the beautiful trees on this little railroad overpass. And this is what it looks like now, that it's pretty barren and the trees are going to be pretty blah. And as we were coming through this little tunnel, we got on the other side of it, and this bird was in the middle of the road. Again, I don't know what kind of bird it is, but we stopped and let him pass, and he was so pretty. Reminded me of that lady gave me the little chicken on a nest or whatever that I'm using for a butter dish that I just love. And speaking of birds, we got home and I made sauteed chicken and used long grain wild rice. And when I use the long grain and wild rice, I only use like a fourth of the seasoning packet because it's got so much sodium in it and it tastes just fine. And then I just laid the chicken on a bed of rice and had some frozen peas. And then my husband and I, we'd usually just take one baked potato and cut it in half, and each of us eat a little piece of it because neither one of us need that many carbs. And it made a really nice supper. And here's a trick. Put your meal on a small plate, and it feels like you've got a big old full plate of food, and by the time you finish it, you feel stuffed. It's an old trick, but it's a good trick. And then I was showing you some of the little 19 cents and 15-cent gourds that I got from some of those places. I am loving those little things, and my intention is when they dry out, I'm going to plant the seeds and hopefully grow some of these next year. These are small pumpkins, obviously, and gourds, and I got tickled at how some of the gourds look like pears. And then I'm not real crazy about those bumpy gourds, but I love the color of these. So I've just kind of laid them around in bowls, and I gave a bunch to my friends. One guy, he just gave me a bag of them. He said, here, you like these? Take them. He said, I can't get rid of all of these. He said, you plant those seeds and you'll get a ton of them. So I'm hoping that I can do that. But look at that little gourd. It just looks like a pear, only it's cream colored. And then this one really does look like a pear. So yeah, I'm kind of crazy. And the one last thing that I want to show you is this hand wash that is winter pine. I get it at TJ Maxx. I've been working on a bottle for about 3 years from TJ Maxx that was from a company called Asquith in Somerset that was from England, and it was called winter pine, and it was the most delicious pine smell. It smelled just like Christmas trees, and I loved it. But they don't have it now. I couldn't find it anyway, so I just got this brand, which smells exactly like it. And oh, if you like the smell of pine and Christmas trees, you will love this. Like I said, the one that was Asquith in Somerset, I believe it is. If you ever find their brand, buy it because it's wonderful too. But looky here. This one was made in the USA. And you very, very, very rarely find anything made in the USA anymore. So I love my pine scented stuff. They had winter pine, balsam fir, different ones like that. But the winter pine is the one that really smells good, and it'll make you get in the Christmas spirit a little bit. So I want to ask you guys all to follow me on Instagram, as always, MarcyJo631, and I'll let you know what's going on there. I am working on the EP project. You guys know what that is. I've just about got every trace of his name off of that video so that I can show you. I'm thinking that might be a good Thanksgiving treat for you guys. Might be a good Christmas gift. It's coming. I just have a few things I've got to tweak on it. And I want to thank you guys for being patient over the EP project. I hope you all know what I'm talking about. And I want to thank you guys all for going. Hey, and don't forget to go over there on Instagram or right here on YouTube and ask your question. I want to do a question and answer video soon. So I hope you're all having a wonderful week. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And I hope we can join each other soon and have another chat. And I'll try to get some questions and answers. I've got about 15 questions so far. So thank you, and I love you from the bottom of my heart.